I'm 26 now, and this takes me back to the summertime of 2013, when I went through the most horrific paranormal experience of my life. I'm pretty certain that we had some sort of flying creature or demon land on the roof of our small cabin. Here's my story. Shortly after we graduated high school, me and a couple of friends decided to go spend the weekend at one of our friends' cabin that's out in the wilderness of Vermont. A pretty small state, but the wildlife and the wilderness is wonderful, quiet, serene, and peaceful. Everything you could want for a wonderful teenage getaway. And yes, we were going to drink and party excessively. Duh. We didn't even get the chance to do any of that, though. Not with what happened. See, we got there on a Friday night, and my friend, we'll call her Caitlin for the story, she decided, before we busted out any alcohol or anything else, that we should play with a game. She kept dropping strange hints, so I finally told her to shut up and just tell us what you mean, and stop playing the Riddler. She decided to pull out a Ouija board, and really wanted us to play before we started partying, considering if we weren't sober, it wouldn't work correctly, or so she believed. We were all down. We were young, naive. None of us have really never messed with a Ouija board. Heck, we hadn't even seen the Blair Witch Project, so we had no idea what we were getting ourselves into. It's important to say that at this point, it was dark out, easily about 9:30–10 p.m. Nobody was intoxicated. No bottles of alcohol opened, and everybody was stone cold sober. Caitlin thought it would be appropriate by setting the mood, and lighting a few candles and turning off the lights. Once we did that, we sat down, put our hand on the planchet, and began asking it questions. After our third or fourth question, of not receiving any answers back, we were all pretty disappointed, thinking the whole Ouija board thing is a total hoax. So we left the board out, but got up, turned the lights on, and blew the candles out. We decided to move on to the party. We began pouring drinks and having a good time. Not even 30 minutes later, we all hear this whooshing sound, like something heavy coming towards the cabin from the sky, and then a loud bang, like something landing on the roof really heavy. It scared all of us. Imagine dropping a cow from like 50 feet onto the roof of a cabin, and then it landing. It was that loud. We were all scared, looking up, and then we heard whatever it was start to walk across the roof. It was 2 feet, slowly walking towards one end of the cabin, stopping, and then turning around, walking towards the other end. We were really starting to freak out now. Then we heard it jump down and land in the dead leaves not too far away from the cabin. We were all freaking out, grabbing our flashlights and turning off the light. Whatever it was, we didn't want it to see us. Caitlin had seen the movie Jeepers Creepers and thought that is exactly the creature we were dealing with. I had never seen that movie, so I had no idea what she was talking about. I was scared beyond my wits, wanting to go home and wanting to end the party. After only having one drink, I was barely buzzed, not even enough alcohol to keep me from being terrified. Then we all started hearing these weird chants or whispers. I don't even know what you would call it. We were hearing it all around the cabin, and now we were all starting to panic. Caitlin got the idea that we were being contacted, finally, and it was taking a physical manifestation. She jumped to the board, and we all stupidly followed, thinking she knew what she was doing. She quickly asked who was outside. No answer. And then she asked again, "Who are you?" No answer. And then she asked, "What are you?" Again, no answer. Then she asked the question in which we got the only answer from. And she asked, "How did you get here?" And then the planchet moved, with just her hand on it. We just watched in horror as it moved to P-O-R-T-A-L, which spelled portal. That made us all start freaking out. Now we're all screaming and acting hysterical, thinking we just invoked some demon from hell to come and torment us in this cabin. Unsure of what to do next, Caitlin runs and opens the front door, takes the board in hand and chucks it as far as she could into the night, then closes the door tightly, locks it, goes around and locks every single window. Then we all huddled in a circle and waited until morning. All throughout the night, we'd heard all sorts of banging, smacking against the house, it jumping up on the roof, and walking slowly back and forth. Whatever it was incredibly heavy. Each step, you could hear the groaning and croaking of the wood, with considerable weight. I'm just glad that whatever it was never tried to break into the cabin, and none of us ever had to see what it was out there that was stalking our cabin. At one point, maybe in the early morning, as we're all still terrified, huddled together for hours, trying to keep each other sane, we thought we heard a whooshing sound, like it took off into the air, although I can't be so sure. At some point, we all fell asleep due to exhaustion. We woke up at the sign of daylight, and quickly packed up everything and left, ending our fun weekend trip very short. Caitlin wouldn't talk the rest of the trip, or the rest of the trip home, which is an hour and a half. She was pretty pale, and was getting very sick. Once we had gotten home, she started to tell me that she didn't feel so good, and so the next couple days, I get a call from her mom saying that she's in the hospital, that she became deathly sick, and almost died, and that she's on a slow recovery, and I should come see her in the hospital in case she ends up passing, and this might be the last time I could ever see her. So I decided to go. I consoled her mom and her family out in the waiting room, and when I got the chance, I went to go talk to her. She looked to be in pretty bad condition, deathly sick looking, but she seemed to be doing a little bit better than what she was. I talked to her, and she told me that she was convinced she died overnight, and that she saw this bat-like creature coming for her, the same one that attacked the cabin. Part of me thought she was going crazy, but I didn't know what to believe. After that hospital visit, it took a few weeks, but she eventually came back to normal, and all of us eventually moved on with life. I hope my story serves as a strong point to never mess with the paranormal, and to stay far away from Ouija boards and anything that would incite an invitation from anything evil. P.S. Caitlin is now doing good. She's married, has a few kids, and a wonderful family. She's very healthy and very much alive. Even during these times of COVID-19, I think she learned her lesson during this trip. Me and my girlfriend were camping in Bear Lake State Park when we both saw something large in the trees ahead of us. Watching us, my girlfriend suggested it might just be a large bird. And then it swooped up in the air and flew away. And we realized in that moment it was not a bird, but something much larger. It kind of looked like a large gargoyle, or something like that. Or maybe a large horse with wings, and a very odd-shaped head. It wasn't until later that we did some homework that we both believe we saw the Jersey Devil. It fit all the descriptions of the sighting, and it looked just like it when it comes to the shape and how it was acting. But it was just sitting up there, perched high in a tree on a huge branch, kind of huddled together, just making a large black shape. There was no eye shine or eye glow, and whatever wings it had were folded behind it, so it was looking like almost it was part of the tree. But I couldn't shake the feeling that it was staring right down at me and my girlfriend. That might very well be so, since we were the only visible ones around at that moment. We would be the only ones to even look at. I'm just glad it didn't target us and try to do anything, like hurt us or kill us. It could have ended much, much worse. Retired police officer here. I served from the 70s all the way up to 1996, and let me tell you, I've had some spooky run-ins with things of the unexplained and the paranormal. The one that comes to my mind, and the one that sticks out the most, was when I was driving down one of the major highways of my town. around 12:30 or 1 a.m., when I was attacked by a large bat or gargoyle-like creature. It came down, swooped at my car, and tried breaking through the windshield to attack me. Luckily, I was able to swerve off the road, get out, pull out my pistol, and fire a few shots at it. It flew away, but came down again for a second swoop. I called for backup, and by the time backup arrived, this thing was full on ready to kill my partner. After firing enough bullets into it, it finally fled off into the night. We both had no idea what it was we were dealing with, and sometimes I wonder, had we not gotten a chance to kill it, if it would have tried to kill both of us. This other cop is also retired too, although he's a little bit older than I, and retired around 2009 or 2010. But we both kept our mouths shut after that, and never relayed a word. This was before our county had dash cams or body cams, so if we didn't report on it, it didn't happen. And we knew if we reported on it, we would have probably lost our jobs right then and there. This encounter, if I'm remembering correctly, took place in early 1982. Here's a description of the creature that attacked both my partner and I. It was a dull red, kind of gray color, had a long scaly body, very humanoid in shape and distinction, had 5 fingers on its hands, with long black claws. Even its feet resembled more of a curled talon kind of claw. It was ripply and muscly, and also, its face was very humanoid, had a strong brow ridge and black, gaunt eyes, a mouth full of sharp pinpoint teeth. They looked more like little fish teeth, very sharp, lots of them, multiple rows. I can't recall seeing any nostrils or any sort of nose, nor do I remember it having any ears. It did not have any horns either, just the features I already told you, and large rippled bat wings. It acted incredibly fast and was incredibly strong, and with enough power and had enough time, it could have very easily shattered my entire windshield and came in and grabbed me. Luckily, due to my sufficient training, I was able to act quickly and appropriately, call for backup, and defend myself appropriately, firing almost an entire magazine into this thing. Bullets didn't seem to immediately stop it, as it kept pursuing. Even when my partner and I were both firing multiple rounds into it, it seemed more annoyed and agitated than it did seriously injured or wanting to retreat. I don't know why it took as many bullets as it did, but we never once saw it bleed or show any sign of pain or that it was taking an injury. It just like it eventually gave up and fled off, screaming a demonic howl into the night. We didn't see which direction it went, but that was the last time and the only time I've ever dealt with something that clearly belongs to the demonic realm.